of hope and expectation during the season of Advent as we approach Christmas. We begin today with hymn numbers 71 and 72 because they share the same text, Hark the Glad Sound. In the original manuscript, the 7 stanzas of Philip Doddridge's hymn are dated December 28, 1735. A modified version appeared in the Scottish translations and paraphrases of 1745, and a more radically revised form by William Cameron appeared in a 1781 edition of a text by the same title. Apart from some minor variations, this setting in the current hymnal is essentially the 1735 version. The 4 verses that are used in the hymnal 1982 correspond to verses 1, 3, 5, and 7 of the original text. This melody or tune, which is titled Bristol, was one of the new tunes introduced by Thomas Ravenscroft in the whole book of Psalms of 1621. While the composer of the melody is unknown, the harmonies were composed by Mr. Ravenscroft. The tune gets its name from Mr. Ravenscroft's practice of naming them after English cathedrals. I will sing verses 1 and 4 of hymn number 71, Hark the Glad Sound. Hymn number 72 is also Hark the Glad Sound. This hymn, however, has the tune name Richmond. It shares the same text as hymn number 71. The original tune was written by Thomas Howes in 1791 or 92, however included an additional phrase at the end of the tune. The version in our current hymnal is an arrangement by Samuel Webb Jr., and first appeared in his A Collection of Psalm Tunes for 4 Voices in 1808, and later in Webb's Psalmody of 1853. The tune name honors a friend of Mr. Webb's, the Reverend Lee Richmond. This is hymn number 72, Hark the Glad Sound.
Our glad was
King shall come when morning dawns. Its tune name is Saint Stephen. The text for this hymn most likely comes from an anonymous Greek source. However, it was translated by John Brownlee and first included in his 1907 text, Hymns from the East from the Service Books of the Holy Eastern Church. The text first appeared in the United States in the hymnal in 1895. The melody, also known by two other tune names, was first published by William Jones in 10 church pieces for the organ with 4 anthems in score in 1789. Although numerous alterations were made to the tune over the years, the version presented here retains the form from 1789. This is hymn number 73, The King Shall Come When Morning Dawns. Blessed be the King who's coming. Its tune name is Valet will ich dir geben. This text was written in 1960 by Uruguayan Bishop Federico J. Pagura and translated by Fred Pratt Green in 1973. The text appears here with a few minor alterations in punctuation. The melody was written by Melchior Teschner following the devastation of the plague of 1613 in his hometown of Fraustadt. He wrote 2 melodies for this hymn and published them in 1614. The second of these tunes gained wide circulation in both Lutheran and Catholic churches throughout Europe. The setting in the hymnal 1982 is that of Ronald Arnott and was originally written for the text, All Glory, Laud, and Honor, and altered slightly to fit this text. This is hymn number 74, Blessed be the King who's coming. There's a voice in the wilderness crying. Its tune name is Ascension. Based on Isaiah 40, verses 3 through 11, this text is the work of the Canadian journalist and poet James Lewis Milligan. Written in 1925 to celebrate the union of the Congregational, Methodist, and Presbyterian churches in Canada, it was first published in 1930. The melody is a product of a 1938 meeting of the Committee of the Hymnal of the Anglican Church of Canada, where they were meeting at the home of Hugh Bancroft. Each tune they tried with this text didn't seem very satisfying, so Dr. Bancroft went to his piano and composed this melody in about half an hour. The tune name honors the Church of the Ascension in Hamilton, Ontario, where the composer served as director of music. This is hymn number 75, There's a Voice in the Wilderness Crying. On Jordan's Bank, the Baptists cry. Its tune is Winchester New. The original Latin text was written by Charles Coffin as a hymn for lauds during the season of Advent and published in 1763. With some minor changes to the 1837 translation by John Chandler, this hymn has been included in Episcopal hymnals since 1871. This melody has a varied history dating back to Germany in 1690. John Wesley used a version of this melody in his Foundry Tune Book of 1742, and it appeared with a harmonization by William Henry Monk in the 1861 edition of Hymns Ancient and Modern. This is hymn number 76, On Jordan's Bank, the Baptists Cry.
Tidings of the King
Thank you for joining me on this journey of hopeful expectation as we explored the Advent hymns in the hymnal 1982. I wish for you a blessed remainder of Advent, a very Merry Christmas, and a happy and healthy New Year.